Thank you. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is a Redmond City Council special meeting held on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, commencing at 6:40 p.m. Council members in attendance are Councilmember Anderson, Councilmember Nueva Camina, Councilmember Stewart, myself, Council Vice President Forsyth, and Councilmember Salahuddin and Council President Kritzer are online. And in this meeting, we are going to be interviewing candidates for Human Services Commission and Parks and Trails Commission. Brooke Buckingham, Human Services Manager, will introduce the Human Services Commission candidate, Shivani Salgankar.
Good evening, council members. I'm so pleased to bring forth Shravani Salgankar, who is applying for a seat on the Human Services Commission. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of background about her. She has lived in Redmond for a little over 10 years and lives close to downtown Park. She just shared that she takes the light rail to work at Microsoft, so very exciting. She has worked in global health nonprofits prior to working at Microsoft and describes herself as a system thinker. Her parents also live in the area and are small business owners, and we're really excited to have you get to know her tonight.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself, and then we'll ask you some questions?
Sure. This is an interesting mic. I hope you're all able to hear me even virtually. My name is Shravani. Like Brooke said, I've been in Redmond for more than 10 years. If I think about home in the United States, it is Redmond, and so Washington or Redmond feels very synonymous to me. Professionally, I've worked in global health nonprofits, then did a little bit of consulting, and now work at Microsoft. I think it's my rite of passage living in Redmond. I have to maybe work at Microsoft at least for a year or something. Apart from that, just a little bit of a background, or like to take you on a personal journey. So I was born in India, grew up on a small island called Singapore, and then moved to the United States. And so before that, I was also in Canada for a little bit to do my undergraduate studies in public health, and then did a master in sustainable development. And so just been traveling around. I'm now finally situated here, and I'm married, I have a husband, and the fun conversation happening at home these days is, when do we get a pet? Like, when is the right time? So yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you. Questions for our candidate from council? Councilmember Nueva Camina.
Thank you. Out of all of the boards and opportunities to get involved, what was that drive to say, you know what, human services, that's what I want to do?
Yeah. I think I was missing out on a little bit of my social impact world. That's where it all started. As I joined Microsoft, I was like, I am creating impact, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything I'm doing to support the local community that I'm a part of. And so that's what really sparked my interest in specifically human services. I started noticing that when you think of Redmond, you think of all the tech companies in this area or people that can really afford those $1 million plus homes. But there are a lot of people in the community that still don't have access to basic needs. Down the road, we're also going to face a lot of climate issues. And so I started thinking about climate readiness for the local community. And when I started thinking through the different commissions, I was like, human services aligns super closely with my interests. That's what got me started on this journey. And then I feel like I made a good choice. I've just been going through the interview loops, and the commission's great to talk to, and I feel like they're very purpose-driven and think about all the issues from a holistic perspective. So that's been really great to learn about.
Councilmember Anderson.
If you had one wish to be achieved by the end of your term on the Human Services Commission, what would it be?
Would you be able to repeat that, please?
You had one wish to be seen in the city in the next 4 years, or whatever the term is, 3 years now, right? What would you wish for the Human Services Commission? Just one.
Yeah.
I should have warned you, I have these big questions.
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, there's so many things, but just one. I was reading the website, the Redmond City website, and what struck with me was we want communities to survive and thrive. And I feel like at the end of that 4th year, I would want us to be more thriving and less surviving. with all the change that's happening, you all must have learned about the reconciliation bill and the changes to the SNAP program. I think we might be going towards a little bit of the surviving era, which is really unfortunate sometimes to think about. So I hope that by the end of that 4th year, we would have put enough programs in place where the community has crossed that basic needs and is now looking at growing and thriving a little bit. So I don't know if that's one area, but that's what I hope thematically I would be able to be a part of doing.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
Well, Shravani, thank you so much for taking the time to apply and be willing to serve the city. I know we have another great candidate to get to, but I just wanted to say thank you once again. And I think that you're going to have a ton to learn, like in the next few months, or get an opportunity to learn, including, diving deep on the Human Services Strategic Plan, because next year the big work is coming, with the grant applications, and some of that work I know has already started. Just a couple of the things that I think are important to share from like the council's perspective is last year in our budget process, we did something that had been an interest of the councils for a long time, but we actually increased the dollar amount per Redmond resident that was invested in human services. And over the past few cycles, we've really pushed the Human Services Commission to partner with us to make sure we're investing in organizations serving people, serving their own communities. So organizations for people, by people, and certainly making sure that our many cultural groups here in Redmond are well-resourced to support the various members of our community. So those are a couple of the things that have been important to us, and you're gonna start to see some of that reflected in your work as you get going. So once again, just thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for applying for this position. And I believe, are we looking at next week for potentially putting this on consent?
I think so. I haven't actually, I'm looking to our city clerk. Yes.
Okay, great. Any concerns from council? Great. Thank you. And we will move on to our next candidate. Lindsay Falkenberg, Parks Planning Manager, will introduce the Parks and Trails and Recreation Commission candidate, Kimberly Marcialino. Apologies if I said your last name wrong.
Hi, City Council. I'm sorry I couldn't be here tonight in person with you all. I'm currently fighting a cold, but it is my pleasure to introduce Kim Marcelino, our candidate for the vacant Parks, Trails, and Recreation Commissioner seat. Just to share a little bit more about Kim before she gets to dive in. Although she's a newer community member to Redmond, she is already a really active member at our new Anderson Park Community Gardens. She's also a parent and a competitive triathlete who loves nature and is a scuba diver. Her application called out a number of observations she has had with a fresh set of eyes about Redmond's Parks and Trails system, and highlighted her connections to community and ideas for continuing to improve and grow our Parks and Trails system. And she also has a background in the Academia of Urban Planning and freelance film, TV, stage, and audio drama. So we're really excited to have Kim as a candidate, and I'll pass her off to you all.
Thank you. Kim, would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself to the council?
Sure. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for that introduction. And thank you guys for taking the time to speak with me. So my name's Kim. My family and I moved here about a year ago in July. So I am very new to Redmond. I'm originally from New York City. I have a 2-year-old son. In terms of work, I'm an independent filmmaker. I'm a screenwriter and director. And education-wise, I was doing my PhD in art history and taught in university for many years. So.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Questions from council for our candidate? Councilmember Anderson.
If you had one wish for what the city will look like as a result of your service on the commission, what would it be?
A single wish?
That's right, just one. Gotta get you to pick one.
Well, project-wise, I mentioned this in my application, but the thing I'm very passionate about right now is I live in downtown Redmond and I have a toddler, and the downtown core is currently lacking a playground. There's Anderson Park at the very edge of it, which is convenient for me, but not for a large majority of the families I see here. And so I think increasing the opportunities for outdoor play for the youngest members of the city in the downtown core would be great. And I also feel like if you look at the other east side cities like Kirkland and Bellevue, they have their like destination playgrounds in their downtowns. And it seems like a missed opportunity for Redmond to have its own destination playground in the center of the light rail and the growing community in this. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Council President Kritzer.
Thank you. And +1 to playground in downtown. Excited to hear about that as the resident parent of young children on the council. I'm really excited to see you applying for this position and to be bringing this perspective. I'm curious if you can share actually more broadly some of your thoughts as a parent of young children, as well as given your other kind of diverse work experience of any of the other types of things that you think you would want to bring as perspective to the commission and ideas.
Yeah, so being a New Yorker is definitely a very big part of my identity. And for me, we chose to live in Redmond for a lot of reasons. And I think one of the biggest reasons is the way that it's growing right now and changing into a walkable, just a more walkable city. We're so happy with downtown Redmond. It's checked off all the boxes we were looking for in a place to raise our family. But to me, city living is really about the way we use shared public space. There's something really special to me. I know there's like a stereotype of New Yorkers not being friendly, but the fact is I have more conversations with strangers in New York because we have to share small spaces together. And I love the connection and the community that's created when we have to do that. And I feel like when we came here and we first went to Downtown Park in the summertime in the evening with all the families playing and all the kids, but also it wasn't like a playground where you just have families. You have senior citizens gathering around together, and you have teenagers hanging out. So I feel like it's that interconnection between different groups that's really special in these shared spaces. And so to me, I think my interest in Parks and Rec is with an eye towards the sense of place and the sense of connection that comes from parks, not just like the facilities and, things like that. So.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for a candidate from council? Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you so much for being with us. Because you have such a passion, especially for these playgrounds, I wanted to just highlight a couple of pieces of news. You also mentioned Idlewood Park in your materials, which is also one of our, as you mentioned, our only access to the lake. So I'm so glad that that is a place that you and your family are already enjoying. A couple of years ago, our city went to the state legislature and we actually received some funding. And so you are going to see some improvements down at Idlewood. And then later tonight, we're going to be discussing our legislative agenda for the upcoming year, and that includes a potential for asking the state legislature to help us with a playground refresh, including making the playground at Hartman Park more accessible and more universally available to lots more kiddos. So not in our urban core, but certainly one that we are getting excited about and thought you might like to know a little bit more about that. So thanks so much, and really looking forward to your work on the commission.
Oh, thank you. That's all very exciting news.
Thank you. Any other questions from council members? Not seeing any. All right. Well, we will look forward to adding you to the consent agenda next week. And if you would like to join us in person, you can be sworn in at that time as well, too. So thank you so much for applying. Thank you to both of our candidates. I love having some commissioners here and joining our city and joining in on this work that we all do together to make our city better. And with that, we are at the end of the agenda for this special meeting, and we are adjourned. Thank you.